So hello and welcome to the video. As many of you will know, I recently achieved the thresholds required to monetize my channel, which means I am now receiving a share of the revenues from the advertising served against my videos. I celebrated that achievement in this video here. So I've decided to stray a little from my normal subject matter and make a video about the monetization experience. I got a lot from watching other creators' videos on this subject and wanted to make a video that gives a little bit back to the YouTube community, even if many of you regular viewers won't perhaps be that interested. As always, I crave structure, so I want to present 6 observations from my YouTube monetization journey. A monetized YouTube channel is a business, and I realised when scripting this video that the 6 points I wanted to make map pretty closely to important business functions, all of which need to be working together in harmony for that business to be successful. So if that sounds good, stick around. And if it doesn't sound good, please accept my apologies, please don't unsubscribe, and normal programming will resume next week. Hi, I'm Matt. Over the last 25 years, I've travelled a lot. I've lived in 5 countries on 4 continents. I've flown over 1.3 million miles. I've visited over 100 countries, every American state, but I'm nowhere near done. So subscribe, and perhaps you'll pick up some hacks, hints and tips to make your next trip better. So my first observations are to do with the strategy and branding of your business. You know when you say a word so often that it starts to lose its meaning? Well, I'm about to do that with the word niche. Briefly, YouTube identifies a new creator's niche and then presents those videos to people who have previously watched videos in that niche. YouTube then monitors how those viewers engage with that video, and they do this by tracking how often the thumbnail is clicked, how much of the video gets watched, and whether people like or comment on the video. If the engagement is high, YouTube concludes that the video is good and so offers it to a wider and wider audience. That is why thumbnails are so important and why YouTubers so frequently encourage you to like this video and leave me a comment below. I'd really love to hear from you. Go on, I'll wait. You may wonder how YouTube determines your niche. Well, no one knows for sure, but I do know that Google uses speech-to-text technology to produce subtitles. This is an example from my latest video, and I did nothing to produce those, yet they are scarily accurate. We know that tags are of minimal value. YouTube tells us that explicitly. So I think they are analysing every word of your video and they are identifying the words that you are repeating, and they use that to determine your niche. Some YouTubers have started to emphasise and repeat certain important words in their videos. And I have a hunch they're doing that quite deliberately to give themselves a foot up in the YouTube algorithm, even if it does get a little bit annoying for the viewer. Sorry, Noel. So your niche is critical. Anyone can be successful producing any sort of video, but I think you will harm your chances, certainly in the early days, if you are throwing out content about every subject under the sun. Pick a niche and work with it. When you have an audience, you'll have a relationship with them through which you can slowly expand your niche, which will then be the way to grow your channel. So my second observation follows on from this and brings in the most important department of any business, which is finance. I'm a finance director, so of course I'm going to say that. If you started a YouTube channel to get rich, stop now. It's extremely unlikely to happen, and you'd be better off spending your time watching YouTube videos, learning skills from them, which you can then deploy in the real world to make some money. That may sound harsh, but it's true. If you make videos because you love the creative process, you love engaging with an audience, and you feel you have something that you can add to the YouTube universe, then carry on. The non-monetary rewards will flow immediately, and the monetary rewards will flow eventually, even if they are modest. A sad reality is that not all niches are created equally. This is a list I found of the top paying niches on YouTube, and as you can see, they're all about professions or personal finance. And you can understand why. YouTubers make money from advertisers, and the advertisers that pay the most are the ones that are focusing on high net worth individuals or people about to make significant investments or purchases. If you make videos aimed at teenagers who spend relatively little, the advertising pot you're going to share in is much more modest than if you aim your videos at 30 or 40 somethings who are about to make a large investment or buy a luxury cruise. But if you start a YouTube channel in a high-paying niche that you know absolutely nothing about in the hope of making a fortune, you might as well stop right now too. 2 more finance points. Firstly, if you are looking to make a living out of your online activities, YouTube should only be a part of your income earning potential. Plenty of people talk about this much better than I ever will, but I've set myself a goal of making £1 outside of YouTube for every £1 I make through YouTube, which in the medium term I think is a realistic goal. I feel that YouTube and Google will continue to increase their share of the global advertising market for some time to come, but they may not, and you may find yourself in trouble if you have all of your eggs in the AdSense basket. And secondly, quite a practical point. The moment you get those 3 green ticks, you want that money to start flowing. But that is only the point where you can apply for monetization, and it can take a very long time to be approved. And approval is, of course, not guaranteed. The process is daunting, it is complicated, and it has serious legal and taxation ramifications as you are entering into a contractual agreement with a very large company called Google. And as it is a US-based company, there are also some fairly nasty US tax consequences to navigate through. But there is quite a lot that you can do before you get your 3rd green tick to speed things up. You'll need to accept all the program's terms and conditions, but these are easy to find and you can certainly review them before you get that 3rd tick. And take this seriously. For many people it is advisable for them to take professional advice on the legal and taxation consequences of turning pro on YouTube. The second requirement is to have an AdSense account. Setting one up is quite a process, and in anticipation of monetization I actually set one up several months ago. I tried to then put Google Ads on my personal website, but they rejected me for not having enough content on it. In fact, they rejected me 7 times. The bottom line though is that I had a working AdSense account when I got my 3rd green tick, which meant that part of the process took minutes rather than weeks. After those 2 steps, you need to be reviewed and approved. Now, I'd already noticed that YouTube was serving ads against my videos before I got my 3rd green tick, which I took to be a good sign that YouTube was happy with my content. And right enough, that approval process took just a few hours. I achieved the qualification requirements at about 7 PM on a Friday, and I was showing ads on my videos by 5 PM on the Monday. Right, on to observation number 3, and the second most important department in any business, which is operations. And I am saying this deliberately to irritate my former sales and marketing colleagues. When monetized, you are a professional, and it is essential to operate professionally. And I think you should approach YouTube with professionalism from day one. I want to invoke the credo of the British cycling team here, which is all about 1% improvements. On its own, a 1% improvement doesn't really feel significant, but if you improve every single aspect of everything you do by 1%, cumulatively that will have a significant impact on your performance. So even though YouTube itself says tags are irrelevant, I still add them. Even though YouTube now can automatically add chapters to your videos, I still manually add them. And even though these hashtags seem to make no difference to anything, I always add them. Even though very few people ever click on these little cards that pop up in the corner of your videos, I still make sure there are at least 3 on every video that I release. And even though nobody reads the description to a video, I always take time to craft one, and I usually add a bit of a gag at the end to reward anyone who took the time to read it. A couple more things. Very early on, I invested the time in producing an opening credit sequence for my videos. Even though I now find them a little bit annoying, I think they're an important part of my branding. I actually made 3 different variants of it to reflect the 3 different ambitions of my channel, and the fact that there are 3 of them now annoys me as well. I also invested the time to make a 24-second end cap video to contain those suggestions that arise at the end of my videos. If they popped up over me wrapping up a video, I don't think that looks very good and it doesn't look very professional. You get the idea. If there's anything that you can do that pushes your video just 1 notch up the YouTube recommendation algorithm, I think you should invest the time to do it. Observation 4 brings us to the sales and marketing department, promoting your videos. Many may think that this is absolutely the best bit, but for many others, including me, it's agony. You can just leave it to YouTube to build you an audience, and that probably will work, but to speed things up, you do need to find your trumpet and blow it. Changing metaphors slightly, everyone has bullets that they can fire. Even if that's just presenting something at a school assembly, or getting a friend or family member to give you a shout out, or getting some coverage in a local newspaper. They're all bullets and everyone can find at least a couple. The key is knowing when to fire them. I once met a guy called Rob Burgess who runs a very popular website for frequent flyers called Head for Points. I thought there was a good chance that he would give me a shout out on his website, but I wanted to make sure I had something of an excellent quality before I asked him. I could have done damage to my channel if he'd shouted out something that was actually rubbish. I was finally confident enough with my 20th video to ask him, and he was then happy to give me some publicity. The funny part of that story is that I didn't know when he was going to mention me. So I woke up one Monday morning and my inbox had exploded. The real-time subscriber count was ticking over furiously. That ended up being by far my biggest day, and I think it will hold that record for quite some time. I also gained 174 subscribers on that day alone, and I think I got about 250 as a direct result of that publicity. In hindsight, I think I fired my bullet at just about the perfect time, and it really worked out very well for me. I also had some old style business cards printed, which I am less and less self-conscious about handing out now when I talk to people about what I do. Another quick tip here, you can very easily produce a QR code to put on those cards, which if somebody clicks on it will also auto-subscribe them to your channel. It's another one of those little 1% things that can pay off in the long term. So to wrap this up, you are running a business. That business is about you and your charisma and your personality, but it is still a business and you still need to promote it. In my experience, people are happy to be marketed to, provided the product in question is of a high quality, which of course your YouTube channel will be. Observation 5 on the list brings us to the customer service department. With a YouTube channel, your viewers are your customers, and it is critical to put them at the heart of what you do. YouTube's analytics system is crucial here, and again there are plenty of videos out there to help you understand your analytics and exploit what you see. But to keep it simple, stop making videos people aren't watching and make more of the videos they are watching. Some of the videos that I consider to be amongst my best have been watched by relatively few people, which is really annoying. But the customer is always right, so you have to pay attention to what they are wanting to watch. YouTube is now a business for me, not a hobby, so I have to give my customers what they want. One of the many great things about YouTube is that the feedback loop is clear and it is immediate. It is the comments section on your videos. Ask your audience questions, invite them to comment, and many of them will. And treat that direct information from your customers as the most valuable resource of all and act on it. Some comments are misguided, but if you hear the same thing twice, trust it. The 6th observation maps to another critical department, which is planning and analysis. Okay, I might be stretching the business analogy a little bit too far here, but stick with me. When you've been plugging away at this for months and you've only managed to get 200 hours of watch time, getting to 4,000 might seem like an impossible goal. But every video you make adds to your back catalogue, which means every new subscriber has one more video to go back and watch. This creates a compounding effect within your channel, which can be very powerful. As Warren Buffett once put it, The only things you need to make a real monster snowball is a teeny tiny snowball and a really, really long hill. So take a look at this graph. It assumes you get just 1 hour of watch time in your first week on YouTube. But that watch time increases by a constant percentage every week for 50 weeks. And at the end of that 50th week, you have 4,000 hours of watch time. The weekly percentage increase you need to achieve that is 13.4%. I suspect that is far lower than many of you expected it to be. So in week 2 you need 1.134 hours, in week 3 you need 1.286 hours, and so on. This is the power of compounding, and breaking down that goal in this way makes it feel far more achievable. So how many weeks do you think it takes to get you to 2,000 hours, which is halfway towards your final goal? Well, with a 13.4% increase every week, starting with 1 hour's watch time in the first week, you'd get to 2,000 hours in week 45 of the 50. The last 5 weeks would get you the other half. That is the power of compounding. No one's channel will ever actually look like this, but if things start slowly, don't lose heart. Monetization is a marathon, not a sprint. So there you go, 6 observations from having monetized a YouTube channel that I hope will be useful to anyone else on that journey. I'm no guru, and I do not pretend to be one, and I do not pretend to have unlocked any magical secret to achieving this goal. But I did it, and I believe you can too. So thanks for watching. You know I'm going to say this, but please give this video a like and leave a comment if you got something from it. It's a good habit to get into. And although this isn't the normal sort of material I produce on my channel, please consider giving me a subscribe too. It'd be much appreciated. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see perhaps some of you in the next one. Goodbye.